Hey guys, welcome back to Nature's Cadence Farm. Today we're going to be working on the 96 Ford F-250, and this particular one has the 7.3 turbo diesel in it. So what the problem is, I was losing a lot of oil, and I was losing like a gallon every 30 miles or something like that. It was outrageous. And so I started having the engine hesitate and start to feel like it was missing on me, actually. And so I checked the oil and it was low, and so I was like, golly, okay, so let's put some oil in here. And I got about 30 miles, down the road, and it started doing the same thing. I said, wow, this feels like it was losing oil again. So called up my buddy and talked to him, and he recommended checking the coolant to make sure the oil wasn't pumping into the coolant, because there's an antifreeze to oil heat exchanger, or an oil cooler, on the engine. That was fine. There was no problems with that. And so then I got to thinking, well, maybe it's burning it or leaking it, and it's not. It would have just been drenched underneath the truck if it was leaking it, and it's not blowing blue smoke everywhere. So so I checked the fuel filter housing, and the fuel filter housing is right in the center of the engine in the valley, and it's got a little black cap on it. I'll show you that in just a second. And pulled that out, and sure enough, it was full of black oil and diesel fuel, so you couldn't even see to the bottom of it like you should be able to see. So anyways, doing some research, I found out that yes, if the O-rings fail on the injectors, it could cause the high pressure oil to push itself into the fuel system and pretty much all the way back to the fuel tank. So that's where I'm at. So the idea is I'm going to pull the injectors out, I'm going to send them off to a company, and they're going to rebuild them for me, and they're going to send them back to me. So this is going to be the process of removing the injectors from the engine. I have started getting everything prepared. I've removed the air cleaner, at least the top part of it there. I have disconnected both negative terminals of the batteries, and I have removed, there was a bracket right here that held the air cleaner assembly on, and unplugged the electrical harnesses, and I went ahead and removed all of the bolts around the valve cover. There's, I don't even know how many, but some of them are really difficult to get to, and especially that one way back in that corner underneath of the air conditioning box. But anyway, so I did get them out, and it didn't take any crazy special tools. But right here is the filter housing, and I can go ahead and pull that off. I didn't tighten it down too much, and I drained a little bit of the fuel out of it. So let's see if, and sometimes the filters get black, but you can see the, anyways, down inside of there, the fuel is black. That oil is just going right back into there. And so anyways, that was what kind of prompted me to go forward with the injector removal, because that's the only other place the oil could be going. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and pop these valve covers off. I just left a couple little screws in there just to keep it, from flopping around and things getting in there. So here we go. Got the valve cover off, and underneath here you can see there's, each injector has this metal clip, and that just flips off of each one of these. And then you have to unplug the glow plug, which is underneath of there somewhere. So you can see once you unplug it, unclip it, it just unplugs. And then here's the glow plug wire. Oh, there we go. Here's the glow plug wire right underneath of that little clip, and that just pops just straight up off of there. And there's what that looks like. Oop. And there's what the glow plug wire looks like. So each one of the 4 injectors gets that same treatment, and then we'll go ahead and pull the valve cover gasket, which is the wiring harness off of there. With the valve cover removed and the valve cover gasket, which is the wiring harness, removed, the next step is to remove each of these oil deflectors here. And after we do that, we go ahead and remove these bolts down below here. I don't know if you can see that. Get you in here. So down below each injector, there's a bolt on this retaining clip, and that's a 10 millimeter if I remember. It might not be a 10 millimeter, it might be something else, but I'll let you know when I get into there. I've gotten all the little oil deflectors removed from the injectors and the bolts. The closest thing I found was an Imperial 3/16, and I'll put down below what that is in metric, but I didn't have that. I also found that I had this this Torx drive let's see if we can get that to focus, T30, and that did really well to just help unscrew them. You know, once they were popped loose with the Allen wrench, I just unthreaded them easily with this little tool here, and so that worked really well. So T30 on that. And these bolts down below here, these little guys right there, these black-headed bolts are not 10 millimeters. So I think they're 8 millimeter or 5/16. So we're going to give that a shot right now. I've found an 8 millimeter deep well on this 3/8 little adapter here. Works perfect to get those bolts on the back side of the little retaining clamp. So I'm going to go ahead and take those out, and then I'll show you how I pop the injectors out of the head. What I've found works very well for me is this 20-ounce straight claw hammer. I've had really good luck with the straight claws. You know, my dad was a carpenter, and you know, so you got to use what you got, and it works really well. So all you do is just slide up this little metal collar right here there, you know, that we just took the bolt out of, and then you can get the hammer claw just right underneath of there. And I did wipe this down before we got started, but then you just pry right back on it, and there it goes. So you can see, you know, it's hopefully you can see. Anyways, there it is. So it comes right out, no big deal. It's not a real complicated process. I've seen some people struggling with it, but it's not really bad. And there's that one. And you just slide the collar up and out of the way, and this nice wide part right here on the hammer head, it doesn't scar up your head of the engine, not the head of the hammer. Anyways, so yeah, you just kind of get it up underneath of there and go for it. Just like that. Really easy. And that one's going to be a little tricky. Well, that back corner is being a little bare, so I'm going to dig through my stuff and see what I can find that'll work better. Alright, well that seemed to get this out fairly well. This long screwdriver, I did wipe this down too, just keep any dirt out of the engine. But yeah, so there's all 4 injectors popped loose in a matter of a minute, and I'm going to let those kind of drain a little bit. These injectors have been in this engine, some of them, most of them actually. Have been in this engine for 330 something thousand miles. That's how many miles I have on the engine. So some of these injectors you'll see when I pull them out, and I'll show you, they still have the black O-rings on them. And my friend that worked at the Ford dealer told me that at some point early on in their life, when they had to start changing the O-rings in the injectors, they changed them to a pink color, possibly, but the original ones are black. And there's one back there, number 8. Looks like, I think that's number 8. Either way, the one in the far back corner, driver's side, has the original O-rings in it. So I'm kind of anxious to see, you know, what they look like after all these years and all these many miles, and go from there. So I'm going to let these drain on this side. I'm going to move over to the passenger side now, and the process is the exact same. So I'm not going to, you know, show you again exactly what I'm going to do, because it's the same thing that you just watched. And when I get done with these, I'm going to let them drain for a little while, then I'm going to package them up and get them ready to ship. So this is going really well today, so I'm really happy with that. So I did want to note something I forgot to explain earlier. When I was pulling these bolts out and the hardware for the injectors, I was very careful not to drop anything in the engine. I took extra time. Don't get in a rush when you're working on these, you know, because if you drop one bolt, I don't know what you would do. I don't want to find out. So anyways, let's get going with the passenger side, and I'll get back with you when I package these things up and get them ready to ship. If you look here on the air conditioning box, I had to remove whatever that was mounted right here so I could get this last injector pulled out, because you know, either I had to take the solenoid off or take that off, and that's just a lot easier to take off. So it looks like they kind of designed it for that. Hopefully that's what it was. Maybe they were thinking. So I wanted to show you the difference between the old gaskets and the new gaskets, or O-rings, sorry. So here's a view of the old ones, and you can see they're kind of black and green. The new ones are these orange and pink and stuff like that. So these are the ones I changed a while back when I was troubleshooting injectors, and I changed 2 of them, or 3 of them, I think 3 of them. But 2 of them I didn't need to change, only 1 of them. These are the original ones that were removed from the engine, and you can see it doesn't look like there was any damage, but maybe there is. But I'm just wiping them down, and what I'm doing is I'm packaging them up in this these towels that I have, and then I'll put each one of them in a plastic bag so they don't drip while shipping, and send them on down and get them rebuilt. So really exciting to get all these out in no time at all, and get them packaged up, and hopefully in the mail tomorrow. We'll see what kind of packaging I can find around the house. So I'll get back with you when they're back from the rebuilders, and I'll show you what I'm going to do to get them put in.